Hello, trading has closed on December 7th, 2020. Let's do our disclaimer, go over some calls. It's my plan for tomorrow's trade, the 8th. I don't predict what happens overnight. And if we get sharply in the desired direction, which is what happened today, the call's killed before the open. No call means no call. Doesn't cost me any money. Doesn't make me any money either. No guarantee I'm right, and so trade at your own risk, and here's my email. Well, let's review what we said. We said all we needed to confirm Friday's bullish move was to go 1 cent past Friday's closing price, and that didn't happen. So Thursday we had a very negative pattern. It was not confirmed on Friday. That was a positive pattern, and that wasn't confirmed. Market likes to make it hard for us. We had mixed signal rules. We gapped, but we didn't promptly move outside the day's range. Closed a little change. So we closed down 0.19%. It's not very much in terms of percentage, but I've been using 4 points. So based on that criterion, you could say that that didn't happen. I might have to change the criterion because I've used 4 points for years back when the market was much lower than it was now. Well, during the day, MEJT said these drops were false, they'd retrace, said this rally was false, and it would retrace, and all that's happened. So it isn't telling us much about tomorrow. This is the pattern with the early low, and tomorrow's pattern also has the early low. Typically it's a rally day with a high in the final hour. There's your high in the final hour, but it's not the high of the day, and that's not good. Now, tomorrow's open can substitute for today's close, and even though futures are down, I can't rule out gapping up. We do have this hole in the wall gap here, and these things tend to fill at some time, usually within a day or so. We tend to take out this high and then find resistance over it. But just because it usually closes quickly, it's not required to close quickly. It's also somewhat positive that after dropping all day, we closed over all these lows. It's normally showing a failure of the lows to hold and should lead to higher prices. The one thing I don't like is the wall into the close. This tends to be buying in a panic, and when this recovery comes this late with no corrections, it's very often a false move and gets rejected by gapping under this low, or at least gapping and trading under that low promptly. So that gives us mixed indicators for tomorrow. And the open should, I hope, clarify things. Well, tomorrow's pattern has the early low. Doesn't mean it won't gap up. Mixed signals, here are my rules. It's positive. After dropping all day, we closed over the intraday lows. If we gap and promptly undercut today's low, that is no longer bullish. It is negative that today's normally bullish pattern didn't close near the high. The wall under the close often leads to gapping down. For us to go higher, we need to gap and promptly overtake today's high. And if we don't, I think we trade lower tomorrow. Doesn't require closing lower, but we should trade lower, unless we gap and take out the high fast. The hole in the wall gap today tends to fill at some time, usually a day or so. For higher prices and overnight trading, they should print at some time. So I don't think that this rally's over, but Sentiment indicators continue to say at some point the rally is going to end, and not very pleasantly. Doesn't mean you won't get higher prices first. December is not really a good time to look for market peaks. Nothing's impossible, but there's a real chance of a blow-off rally here into 39.20-ish, and then collapse in the new year. But that's not the only way you can read the pattern. If we do drop from here, we still have this rising wedge, and if we do drop from here, I think you'll eventually recover. So I do have higher and lower targets. I don't think it's a lock which one comes first, but I take things one day at a time. And for tomorrow, if we don't have a gap and take this out early, I think we see lower prices. And if we don't take this out, I think we have a decent chance of taking out this low pretty quickly. And that is today's call.